Imagine you're walking home late at night. It's quiet. There are no cops, no cameras, just you and your thoughts. Then a guy steps out of the alley. He's not drunk or confused. He wants a fight, no rules, no gloves, no warning. What do? In this video, we'll explore how 10 different fighting styles can either save you or doom you. For the sake of this scenario, let's assume your opponent is a tough guy who regularly gets into street fights and brawls. He's not formally trained in any discipline, but he's tough as nails. And neither of you has any kind of weapons on you. Boxing. Boxing is timing, reflexes, footwork, and killer instinct in one brutal package. In a street fight, that matters more than anything. You're not trying to score points, you're trying to finish it. Fast. Boxers train to dodge, slip, and explode with knockout power. And in a world where one clean shot can end a fight, that's terrifying. No flashy kicks, no fancy holds, just two fists, and a lifetime of practice using them with surgical precision. Your average street brawler throws wild haymakers. A trained boxer sees that coming a mile away and ends it in one punch. In the chaos of a street fight, boxing is simple, direct, and deadly. The only real downside to boxing is if your opponent tries to grapple, something street brawlers often do. But if you're a trained boxer, you'll know how to control the distance and end the fight before it ever gets there. That's why it lands straight in street god tier. Judo was born in Japan, built on the simple idea, maximum efficiency with minimum effort. In a street fight, that means using your opponent's momentum against them, flipping a big guy onto the concrete without throwing a single punch. And that's Judo's superpower, throws. You grab, you pivot, and suddenly a guy twice your size is on his back, wondering what just happened. And if the ground is hard, which it usually is, that one throw might end the fight right there. But Judo has limitations. It's grip-based, meaning you need to get in close, latch onto clothes or limbs, and time your movement just right. In a chaotic, sweaty street fight with wild punches flying, that's not always easy. Plus, if your opponent doesn't wear a shirt, good luck gripping skin. Still, Judo is battle-tested. Police around the world train in it. It's not flashy, but in close quarters, it's a game changer, which lands Judo in A tier, Survivor mode. It might not win every fight, but when it lands, it slams. Taekwondo is the king of kicks. Originating from Korea, it's flashy, fast, and acrobatic. Think spinning heel kicks, jumping roundhouses, and explosive speed. In a competition setting, that's deadly. But on the street, not so clear-cut. The strength of Taekwondo lies in its distance control. If you manage to land a clean kick first, you might end the fight before it begins. But that's a big if. The problem is that real fights are messy, close range, cramped. You might be fighting in a narrow hallway against a wall or with people all around. And if someone rushes you while you're mid-spin, it's game over. Another downside of Taekwondo is that its hand techniques are often underdeveloped. If your kicks fail and things get close, there's not much left in the tank. That's where Taekwondo falls behind boxing. A boxer keeps their eyes locked on the opponent and can throw jabs, hooks, or uppercuts even in tight spaces. That lands Taekwondo in coin toss tier. It can surprise your opponent or land you flat on your back. Aikido is all about using your opponent's energy against them. Sounds cool, right? But there's one little problem. Real attackers don't give you their energy. They just swing, grab, shove, or sucker punch, and Aikido's graceful spirals won't help when someone's throwing haymakers or trying to tackle you to the ground. Most of the time, Aikido practitioners train with compliant partners, guys who literally run into the technique. Try that against a wild, unpredictable brawler. You'll end up trying to redirect chaos, and chaos doesn't cooperate. It gets worse. Aikido avoids sparring. That's like learning to swim without ever getting in the water. You can memorize every joint lock in the book, but without the chaos and pressure of real fighting, those moves fall apart when it counts. Now, are there exceptions? Sure. A few Aikido masters trained in other arts too, and they made it work. But that's the point. They had to leave Aikido's fantasy dojo rules behind and mix it up with boxing, jiu-jitsu, or wrestling to survive. In its pure form, Aikido is more philosophy than fight. It's beautiful, it's disciplined, but it's about as useful in a brawl as ballet. If your attacker is polite enough to attack you correctly, and slowly, and with honor, you'll be fine. Otherwise, good luck, bro. So we have our first F-tier fighting style. Wrestling. Wrestling doesn't care how tough you think you are. It's raw, relentless, and unforgiving. In a street fight, the ability to close distance, control someone's body, and slam them into concrete is terrifying. Wrestlers are built different. They train to shoot, sprawl, clinch, and dominate, with zero hesitation. And unlike flashy martial arts, wrestling is all grind. No nonsense, no wasted movement. If you've ever tried to push a wrestler off you, you know, it's like wrestling a fridge. And once they get a hold of you, good luck breathing, good luck moving, good luck doing anything. Now, does wrestling have weaknesses? Sure. Most wrestlers don't train strikes, so if they can't close the gap, they're vulnerable. But here's the thing, they usually do close the gap, fast, aggressively. And once they do, you're not fighting anymore. You're surviving. That's why wrestling goes straight into street god tier, because if they get their hands on you, it's already over. Sambo doesn't play around. It was literally invented for the Soviet military, designed to end fights fast, on concrete, in freezing alleys with no second chances. Think judo's throws, wrestling's takedowns, and street brawler grit, all fused into one cold-blooded system. No time for philosophy, no space for mercy. Sambo fighters train for chaos. They know how to trip you, slam you, choke you out, and break your leg before you even realize what's happening. And if you give them one sloppy move, just one, they'll make you pay for it with the kind of pain that doesn't fade by morning. But here's the catch. Sambo isn't easy to find. Outside of Russia and Eastern Europe, good Sambo gyms are rare. And even inside the sport, some styles skip striking entirely. That means if you've only trained sport Sambo, your hands might not know what to do when a drunk brawler throws wild punches. Still, if you've trained properly, if you've felt that pressure, that cold aggression, Sambo turns you into a survivor. That's why Sambo lands in survivor mode. Muay Thai. Muay Thai is violence with rhythm, pain wrapped in precision. In the ring, they call it the art of 8 limbs. But on the street, it's the art of breaking you. Elbows that slice, knees that crush, leg kicks that turn your thighs into jelly, and a clinch so vicious you'll think you're drowning. On concrete. Muay Thai fighters don't waste time. They walk you down, cut off your movement, and when they get in close, that's where the real punishment starts. Try swinging wildly at a Thai fighter and they'll catch you mid-motion, with a knee to the ribs or an elbow to the jaw. Try clinching them and you'll eat sharp strikes while your balance gets ripped away. There's no room for panic, no time to think, only pain, pressure, and punishment. And here's the scary part. Muay Thai fighters spar hard. They know what it feels like to get hit, bleed, and keep going. So when the chaos of a real street fight hits, they don't freeze. They feast. Muay Thai is built for war. And if you're trained in it, you don't just survive a street fight. You end it. That's why Muay Thai joins street god tier. Because when it's time to fight for real, nothing's more terrifying than a calm, calculated killer with elbows sharp enough to cut glass. Capoeira. Capoeira looks amazing. It's like watching someone perform acrobatics on fast forward while dodging invisible swords. But here's the problem. It's more dance than destruction. Capoeira was born out of resistance, disguised as celebration. Enslaved Brazilians created it to hide their fighting skills from colonial masters, masking combat in movement, music, and rhythm. And that origin story is incredibly powerful. But in a street fight, your attacker isn't clapping to the beat. The moves are often telegraphed, requiring perfect flow, space, and timing. It thrives in sparring circles where everyone knows the rhythm. On concrete, in chaos, against a guy who doesn't care about your spin kick's artistic arc, not ideal. Capoeira in a real fight is like bringing poetry to a gunfight. Beautiful, meaningful, and occasionally dangerous. But good luck, bro. Karate walks into the fight with clean technique, sharp strikes, and years of tradition. On paper, that sounds like a dream, but in a real fight, it's hit or miss, literally. See, traditional karate shines in a controlled environment. You practice precise movements, you learn discipline, distance, and timing, and when it's drilled enough, one punch really can end a fight. That's not a myth. The problem? Most karate schools don't pressure test those moves. Sparring is either point-based, light contact, or choreographed, so when you get grabbed, slammed, or someone rushes you throwing bombs, your muscle memory might freeze. Another issue is stance rigidity. Karate stances are built for power and stability, but in a chaotic brawl, that can turn into a liability. A street brawler will bulldoze right through it. But here's the thing. If you haven't tested it under resistance, no full contact, no pressure, no intensity, then you don't really know how to fight. You know how to perform. That's why karate is a coin toss. It can save your life, or it can get you folded in a second. It all depends on how you trained. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu BJJ is the art of making someone twice your size tap out while lying on your back. In a controlled setting, it's a superpower. BJJ is all about submissions, chokes, arm bars, joint locks. If you can take the fight to the ground, isolate a limb, and stay calm, you can end the fight without throwing a single punch. That's why cops, special forces, and MMA pros all train it. It works. But here's the catch. The ground is your home until it's not. Concrete is not a mat. Pavement will tear up your back, your elbows, your face. If you try a triangle choke and your opponent's friend starts kicking your skull, that's game over. In real fights, you don't want to be on the floor longer than you have to. So where does that leave us? If you've trained BJJ seriously and you're in a one-on-one fight with no weapons, it's gold. You'll choke a dude unconscious while barely breaking a sweat. But if you get stuck underneath or there's more than one attacker, you're not dominating. You're surviving. That's why Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu goes in survivor mode tier. In a real fight, pressure doesn't lie. Flashy moves and fantasy fade fast. What works is what keeps you standing. We've ranked every style by what truly matters: survival. So if you're trying capoeira in a street brawl, I admire the confidence, but maybe reconsider. Some styles give you an edge, others a false sense of hope. That's the brutal truth. Now it's your turn. If it was just you and one opponent on the street, no mats, no rules, what style are you betting your life on? Let me know in the comments. And hey, train smart, stay safe.